In the Bogside, loads of people would have had pigs in their backyard as a way of kind of dealing with the waste, the food that they weren't finishing, and they would fatten a pig and have it at Christmas. But my father took that a bit further. He had a small piggery in Thomas Street. Brock was the name given to the waste food that people hadn't used, and people kept it in their buckets for me, and I would come around and collect it every week and every couple of days and take it to the pigs, and then we would steam it. You know. So that was my kind of first job that I learned from my father. But he was a very practical man, and nothing defeated him, and that I got that from him. And in 1967, the redevelopment basically wanted to knock all those houses down, and we got evicted. My father resisted that. So the barricades went up in the Bogside in 1967, before the 69 barricades. I could not believe that British soldiers armed would shoot unarmed civilians. I couldn't, because I was brought up to do what you were told, obey the teacher, obey authority, obey the police. But it took me 15 years to actually begin to understand that Bloody Sunday was actually the murder of civilians, and then I got involved in the campaign for justice for Bloody Sunday, still am. I went over to Manchester for 2 years and worked with Frontline, and came back here and set up Derry Frontline Culture and Education in the Bogside. Frontline was basically applying the methodology of Paulo Freire and Augusto Boal to post-industrial Britain and Ireland. Rather than indoctrinating people, actually getting people engaged in dialogue that'll revolutionise them. When I learned this pedagogy, that was me. That's what I want to do, and that's what I've been doing since. I was involved in the campaign against Raytheon, the biggest missile manufacturer in the world and the third biggest arms contractor. And they were setting up a software facility in Derry. And the very important thing from a Freirean point of view, at least I got this from Freire, was that you have to be, what are you for? It's not enough to be against something. What are we built? What kind of world do we want? I got involved in a campaign called FEC. We were FECers, the Foil Ethical Investment Campaign. And the project was to extend the peace process into the local economy. So ethical investment, fair trade, environmentally sound, sustainable development. So that's where my link then came to. When I heard about the incinerator, that seemed to be a logical step for me to get involved. And then I said, okay, well, if we're against an incinerator, what are we for? And looking around and finding what the research was saying internationally, zero waste was the practice. Our religious belief system meant that we almost felt we could trash the planet, and as long as we survived and looked after and were good to each other, So I think both sides of the sectarian divide have been disconnected from nature. And this is the thing, the environment really is key to who you are. When my dad was evicted in 1967 from the Bogside, he'd been building this house here, and he passed away 10 years later because it really broke him to lose the community that he lived in and was part of. I got this house finished and built a workshop, and that's been a kind of hub for all of the campaigns I've been involved in. If the production values are good, then people, even they don't like what you're saying, they like how you're saying it. We did a big banner about 20 years of resistance against imperialism. And I remember a British soldier knocking on the van one day and saying to me, "Great banner, great banner." The bin lids were used, for example, as resistance to British Army. And when Raytheon came here, I thought, God, the bin lids would be a good thing to use as resistance to the arms trade. I feel I am more now connected to nature, and I find it interesting that I'm involved in the Zero Waste campaign. I was a Brock collector, and I didn't even make that connection until, probably 2 years into the campaign. Derry is a very specific place. Its creativity comes from the fact that it was probably the safest Catholic community in a majority unionist statelet. But there's a lot of confidence that I have to do things, bold things, because of my father, because of other people doing bold things around me. And so my place was really among the people of the city. What are the processes through which people can begin to have control of their lives and move things in a progressive direction? I've actually come more and more back to sort of saying I need to look after me as well, and I need to connect to, like, there's a beautiful place where I live here and I can do something here, and I can maybe work with the people around this house rather than always being in the bogside. My journey has been to the environment, and I see the environment as a key, and protection of it as a key way in which we can transcend our differences on this island. It's through questions and questioning that we actually learn, and the learning goes into us because the question came out of us. When a question comes out of us, the answers to it deepen our connection to others and to ourselves and to nature eventually, in the case of a boy like me.